Hi, 5th grade. It's me, Mrs. Miniger. How are you? We are going to do a couple of pages in our practice book, so I'd like you to please open up to page 34. We're going to start on page 34, make sense of a couple of problems or a few problems, and then we will be done. So let's take a look at 3. It says label 25 hundredths and 25 thousandths, tenths, hundredths, thousandths on the number line. Well, right off the bat, apples, oranges, right? And I'm going to go ahead and rewrite 25 thousandths like that. Oh, that's messy, sorry. And then 25 hundredths. Well, 25 hundredths, now I can notice here too that this number line is in decimal. Okay, so 25 hundredths, when I write that as a decimal, it's just 25 hundredths. And so the very first one is easy. There is my 25 hundredths. Okay, now 25 thousandths. Well, all right, these are all in hundredths. This is in tenths. This is in hundredths. This is in tenths. Well, let's do the zero. Let's do the zero dance. And let's make these an extra number. Let's put 2 here. We'll put 1 there and 2 here and 1 here and 2 and so on. Look what we're doing. We're making them all in hundredths. Nope, we're making them all in thousandths, okay? This was in hundredths. Adding the 0 does not change the value. 5 hundredths is the same value as 50 thousandths, okay? So now you might be like, all right, well, okay, we've got this 25 thousandths. So, and I don't see 25 on here. Well, I see 25 here, but that's 250 thousandths. This is 200 thousandths. This is 150 thousandths. 100. I only have 25. This one's 50. This one's 0. 50. 0. What's halfway between 50 and 0? What's half of 50 cents? 25 cents. Oh, so what I could do is put a mark right in between 0 and 50 thousandths, and that would be 25 thousandths. And so there we go. Woohoo, we're smart. Done. Now, clearly we can see the further we go right on the number line, the larger the number is. So if we are going to compare those two, apples and oranges, using one of these signs, one of these inequality signs, well, let's go ahead and I'm going to write 25 100ths. You should be writing in your book as well. Is, and then I'm going to go ahead and write the decimal. And I don't put the 0 in front of the decimal. That's your preference. It means I have no ones. So whether or not you want to put that there, I just think it's ridiculous to put it there. I guess it's not ridiculous, but I just think it's not necessary. Now, which one is further to the right? Clearly, the 25 hundredths is larger than 25 thousandths. Okay, cool. Alexis, she runs a 100-meter sprint in 13 and 5/10 seconds. The times of 5 other runners are listed in the box. Decide if each time is less than her time of 13 and 5/100ths. Is it exactly equal to 13 and 5/100ths, or is it greater? Okay. I think the best way that we're going to do this guy is just simply by kind of figuring out what we know about them. Okay, so if I write her number first, I'm going to start with the decimals and then work my way to the fractions. So I'm going to list this one, this time, 13 and 105 thousandths, and 13 and 5. Now the cool thing is we don't really have to think about who won or times, even though this is a seconds type of, running situation. We just have to compare each of those numbers in the box to 13 and 500ths. So it's either going to be less than that, it's going to be equivalent to that, or it's going to be greater than that. So right now, I'm going to switch to my highlighter. I can see that I have ones in my tens, I have threes in my ones, then I have my decimal point, and it's the tenths where I have the difference. See it? Okay, sweet. So 13 and 105 thousandths, that's greater because 1 is greater than 0. Sweet. Done. 13 and 5/10 is also greater. So both of these decimals that were listed in the box, excuse me, I gotta get Kleenex. Okay. Both of the decimals are going to be greater. Cool. Now, let's use what we know about it. Oh, we have another decimal. We have 12. Oh my goodness, I forgot all about 12. Well, 12 clearly is going to be less than 13. So go ahead and put 12 and 9/10 right in the box. Bye-bye. Cool. Cool beans. All right, I've got something that looks like 3 and 5 thousandths. So no tenths, no hundredths, thousandths. Well, 3 every single day, 3 and 5 thousandths is going to be way smaller than 13. So that's going over here. I'm going to write it in its fraction form, 3 and 5 thousandths. All right, done. Now I have 13. You know what? I'm gonna not put it there because oh, hello. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, I'm gonna put this one up here. 13 and 5/100ths. 13 and I have no tens, 5/100ths. Winner, winner. That one's equal. 13 and 5/100ths. Just because it looks like that doesn't mean it doesn't. So there you go. Check and done. Look at us. We are rocking and rolling. Okay? The cool thing is if I said something or went too fast, pause the video and go back and rewind. Number 5, which comparison statement is true? All right. Well, 70A, let's just look at A. 75 thousandths is less than 57 tenths, hundredths, thousandths. The last time I checked, I'm pretty sure that 57 is smaller. 57 tenths, hundredths, thousandths. That is not true. Okay. 7/10 is greater, it's saying, than 725 thousandths. All right, so here we go. Let's write 725 thousandths versus 7/10. Okay, well, right now they're saying that this is smaller, but let's go ahead and let's just make these apples and apples. Does that change the value? Nope. Does this change the value? Nope. It just changes the place value, but it doesn't change the number value. And I'm sorry, the last time I checked, 725 is greater than 700. Okay. 57 hundredths. 57 hundredths is greater than, let's see, this is 57 tenths, hundredths, thousandths. All right. Well, I'm going to keep my 57 on this side. I'm going to keep this one because look, I can add a 0 here, and a 0 here, and now I have 570 thousandths versus only 57 thousandths. Clearly, I have more with 570. Winner, winner. But just because we got the answer doesn't mean we should skip D. All right, this D says 275 tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Do you see how I just tap to make sure I'm correct? It's a smart little strategy. Is what to 275? Oh, excuse me, but I quite believe that I am writing something that is equivalent. And so that is not correct. So C is our answer. Okay. Ugh, yoy. All right, we got a lot going on here, don't we? Okay, we can do this. We have to go in order from least to greatest, and we've got all of this wonderful mess to work with. I'm going to erase and make a little bit more room for myself. Excuse me. I'm going to make sense of a couple of things. Sorry. First of all, 5/4 is greater than 1. It equals 1 1/4. And so I know that that also means 1 1/4, but I'm not really loving that because other than maybe here or here, maybe what I need instead would be, I would need maybe, let's see what the book decided to do with this problem. I'm just looking to see, where is this problem? Oh, they did no work, so we're having to do all the work ourselves. This could also be 1 25/100ths. I just know that because 1/4 is the same or is equivalent to 25 100ths. So let's see what works. That definitely can be compared to the 1 800ths, right? Because that one's going to be smaller. 1 450 thousandths. Let's do a little work with that. 1 450 thousandths. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shave off these zeros and make it 1 45 hundredths, which looks like that. Yeah, that makes that a little less scary. 1 45. So now look what I have. I changed this guy to 1 1/4 to 1 25 hundredths. You might not know how to do that, but hopefully you do know that there's 1/4 in a dollar, which means that there's 25 out of 100 would be 1/4. If I compare 1 25 hundredths with 1 800ths with 1 45 hundredths, I can put those in order from least to greatest. Then that leaves these. Clearly, these are going to come first because they're less than 1. So the question is, we know how we're going to put these, but how are we going to put these too? And that's the part that we have to think about. All right, 4/5. 4/5. Well, how do we make that a decimal? Well, I think really the only way we can do is do the math. 4 divided by 5. Now, I know this is a little tricky, and I know that I've worked this out with 6th grade. I have not worked this out with you, but I'm going to show you real quick how you can make this into a decimal. 4 divided by 5, let's put a decimal up in the line, and let's add a 0, okay? Now, why I added a 0 is because I need something to work with. I can add on from this point of the number, I can add on as many zeros. I'm still going to have 4. But by adding the 0 on and saying to myself, how many groups of 5 can I pull out of 40? Well, the answer is 8. I can get 8. Those numbers work. And all of a sudden now I have a decimal of 8/10. Okay, because 4/5 is equivalent to 8/10. How cool is that? Now, that's one way. What if we did this? What if we made, and this is something we have been working on, what if we multiplied both of these by 2 halves, or 2/2, and we get 8/10 that way? There it is. And we can write 8/10 as a decimal right here. And look, now we're all friendly. Okay? The last thing that I would suggest we do is maybe line them up by decimal. I guess we don't really have to do that, but let's at least make them look like apples and apples. So from smallest to greatest, obviously our 4/5 is going to go first. Now I'm going to write it the way that they gave me the numbers, but I do know that 4/5 is 8/10. Then I'm going to have this 804 thousandths. That's going to be next. Then I have all my ones. Well, I have 1 and 8/10. 1 and 800ths. I have 1 and 2500ths. And I have 1 and 45. All right, so I can see right now that when I compare my column, this is the column I'm looking at. It's the tenths that are different. And once I realize that, then I can see clearly that I'm going to have 1 and 800ths next as the smallest with a value of 1 or over 1. Then I'm going to have 1 and 2500ths, which was 5/4. And then lastly, 1 and 450 thousandths. Look at us. Ba-boom, ba-doom. We did some good math here, okay? So that was just one page. I think we're going to pause for right now, but what I would like you to do is see what you can do next with 1 and 2 and maybe 3. Okay, so I'd like you to work on page 35 next, and I'll put that'll be the next thing listed on your must do for today. And then tomorrow we'll hit the ground running with page 35 and see how we do. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed this. I didn't make too many mistakes, I don't think. But thank you for learning with me this way because it saves time. All right, I'll see you soon. Bye.